Hello, I'm Tony Cordato,
And I'm Peter Kakoulis.
and we're here to talk about property. Well, about buying an investment property and buying an investment property in your self-managed super fund. So, how easy is it to borrow the money when we buy property in a self-managed super fund?
Very good question. So to answer this question, I'm going to elaborate a little bit more thoroughly.
Okay.
So a lot of clients are unaware. You've got all these super funds around Australia. And I asked clients a question, okay, how much money do you have in your super fund? Number one, the minimum requirement to actually set up a self-managed super fund is $200,000.
Yeah.
You need to have a minimum of 200. That could be with you and your wife, you and your brother, your sister, siblings.
It can be a family.
Family super fund.
Yeah.
So then once we tick that box, then we elaborate to clients saying, were you aware that you can actually set up a self-managed super fund and buy an investment property?
Yeah.
And they go, no, we didn't know. So then we explain that. Once we explain all that, we let them know that obviously there's setup costs to set up the super fund. There's banks that will lend you up to 80 or 85% depending on the scenario, depending on the postcode. And then we do an education program and we advise clients that, okay, if you were to actually buy, for example, a property in your super fund, for the exercise, we'll just say it's $500,000 purchase.
Yeah.
Okay? And the rent's $500 a week, 1-to-1 ratio.
Right.
So now in Sydney, the 500,000 to 500, it's a little bit hard to find a $500,000 property. You might find a unit, but then the rent and then
Two-bedroom units around about 600.
yeah, 600, yeah, but not 500. 500 you can buy my letterbox. So, but there's other states, you know, Queensland, WA, and other states.
Well,
But going back,
feasible.
very feasible. So what we do is we sit down and we say, okay, if we're going to have a purchase price of 500 with $500 rent, what we do is we want to borrow from the bank 80%.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're going to lend us $400,000.
Yeah.
We've got to put in 100 grand plus all the other costs. So let's say the costs are setup fees, everything else, stamp duty, solicitors costs, blah, blah, blah. We say the whole package is 150 grand from your 200. So you've still got $50,000 remaining.
Yeah.
And that 50,000, a financial advisor can actually invest it in different sources to build that up for you. Now, what pays off the loan, the 400,000, is the employee contributions, if you're pay as you go, or if you're self-employed, the contribution that you're putting in.
Right, as you go.
Yep, and also the rent, the $500. So that's what pays off the loan. Now, there is a problem with every loan, doesn't matter if it's an SMSF or investment, okay? And the problem is time.
Yeah.
We're not getting younger. So as time is going by, we're getting older, and when you look at a property, as you know, if you leave it for 10 years later, the property is going up in value. But let's say we buy a property today for 500, we've got a loan of 400,000. We can use that time that's against us to make it work for us. And what I mean by that $400,000 loan, we do it as a 30-year loan term.
Yeah.
And with principal and interest, we want to start paying that debt down.
Just a gradual slope downwards.
Correct. Yeah. Then what we basically do is we sit down and we say, okay, we've got this loan that's coming down.
Yeah.
And in 15 years' time, at pension phase at 65, the property should be more than double. Okay, because I reckon every 10 years the property doubles.
We'll come back to talk about that.
Correct. But if that property goes from 500 in 15 years, it's worth 1.22 million.
Yeah.
You've made 720,000 in capital growth, and you didn't have to do anything about it. You didn't have to work extra.
No, you could sit on the beach
Correct.
and make money.
Absolutely. Now, there's another kicker with that. So now you're at pension phase, and you've made 720,000 in capital growth.
Yeah.
15 years later, your mortgage now is down to 200. And you're like, I'm at the beach, I've got this property, and I'm going to sell it.
Time to sell.
Time to sell. Excellent.
Because once you've retired, there's no tax.
Correct.
So you retire and then sell. You don't sell
Beforehand.
then retire.
That's right. That is what Tony just said is the most crucial thing that people forget. So you retire and then you sell.
Correct.
Now, and I'll give you the both scenarios. So if you retire and then you sell at 1.22, so 20 grand will go to the real estate to sell it, marketing, advertisement, and so forth. You got 1.2 left. 200 grand will pay off the $200,000 loan remaining, and you've got $1 million in your super. So the property enhances your super and your retirement.
Yeah. Well, what has actually happened is that $100,000 has turned into $1 million.
In the next 15 years.
10 times in 15 years.
Correct.
That's what has actually happened.
Now, imagine you do that twice.
Oh, God.
2 properties in your super fund.
Yeah.
Yeah? So some people might have 600,000-700,000 in the super,
Yeah.
and they go, oh, what do I do? Okay, great. Now, let's go back to the question that Tony said, if we sell it before retirement age.
Yeah.
So you sell it before retirement age, you're paying 15%
10%.
Oh, is it 10?
Gain.
Okay, so 10%. So at least you're saving 5, but I wouldn't worry about saving the 5% or paying 10%. Wait until you retire. And no capital gains. I think the government makes enough money.
It's worth 100,000.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Pay 100,000 to the government, much as they'd like it. You don't have to give it to them.
Absolutely. Just wait a couple more years. So that's in the super fund.
Yeah.
So a lot of clients say to me, oh, I didn't know I can do that.
Yeah, no, it's a great thing to do.
Absolutely.
Great.
The other thing is, a lot of people say to me, Peter, I should buy $1 million property in my super fund or 1.5. No, you buy something entry level.
Buy the lower level.
Correct.
There's more. It was 2 reasons. One, it's easier to buy at the 500,000, easier to finance. And number 2, your rents tend to be better as a rent return. You get 5% return at the lower level. If you buy the more expensive ones, it drops to 3 or 4%. So you're not getting as much money coming in.
Correct.
At the higher level.
That's right. That's right.
And number 3, can I add a 3?
Yeah, add a 3, Tony. Add a 3.
Diversify. If there's a problem with one property, a $500,000 property, your other $500,000 property might be doing very well.
That's right.
So you spread your risk.
Absolutely, 100%, 100%. And the other thing also, just to add to that, is everyone focuses on buying in Sydney. And that's okay. I'm not opposed to that. But if you're going to have all these properties in Sydney, one of my clients had 5 properties in the same suburb. And he was collecting $130,000 in rent and paying $30,000 in taxes, land tax. So we'll talk about it, and that's another topic.
That's a little teaser.
A little teaser. How to solve the land tax threshold. We'll talk about it on the next one.
That's it for this one.
Thank you, Tony. See you guys.